Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 23 My Team Career Mode. This is episode number 96 today for the Austrian Grand Prix in Season 6. If you guys did miss the previous episode at the British Grand Prix, then be sure to go check the one out before you see this one. Not just for the action, which was pretty enthralling around Silverstone, the AI were an absolute mad one with some side-by-sides. There was also some chaos with some rain towards the end and heavy tyre wear, but also because we had a special one-off livery, a BMW art car livery inspired by a real-life BMW art car by Roy Lichtenstein, which is a very special livery to don for our home race, of course. But yeah, at the home race, it was a great day in the office for Jenson Button, our teammate, who finally broke his Silverstone curse, at least here in the game, and went on to take victory in what was a dominant display before the safety car, which did bunch things up towards the end, but it didn't matter. He still went on to win it, and he now has what really is quite a commanding lead in the championship to myself in second place. You know, a bit of a smaller gap then from myself to Leclerc, and then Yuki Tsunoda still hanging on in P4, but it's been a very topsy-turvy few races for all the chasing pack, really, with quite a lot of different teams getting in the mix, a few drivers having a few surprise performances. You know, mainly McLaren have had a massive uptick as they're ahead of Ferrari, Mercedes and Red Bull in the championship. I mean, even Williams are ahead of Red Bull in the championship, so some real massive divergency in the midfield battle compared to what we've had in the last few seasons. But at the top, it is still BMW, our team, at the top, being chased down by the likes of Audi, Aston Martin and Lamborghini are just holding on, but you can see they've had a pretty piss poor last four races as a whole team, so they're desperate to try and find some form. Ever since we got to the European portion of the season after Portimao, they've really had a very tough time of it. But in this episode, we're now coming into the heart of the Austrian mountains here for the Red Bull Ring, the Austrian Grand Prix, and it is a sprint round, of course. So we've got a Friday qualifying followed by a short sprint race, and the weather may play another little game as it did at Silverstone, probably larger than Silverstone's. The forecast offers some actual proper rain in the middle of the race, not just teasing us towards the end, but I think it should be dry on the Saturday for the sprint at least, so a very different kind of vibe going from the sprint to the full Grand Prix. And here in qualifying it is dry as well, as the sun is beaming but going down slowly as the light dissipates, and we're going through the motions to get through into the second part of qualifying. On the back foot a little bit there with myself and Jenson a bit further down the order in the qualifying pecking order, but let's see how it goes now in Q2. First flying lap was okay. That was a bit of a banker lap. We've gained massively in at the end of Sector 1 into Sector 2, especially on the traction and the entry of that very slow right-hander up the hill, and we go P2 0.088 slower than Teo Porcher, our previous teammate. Eventually others go a little bit quicker, and it's George Russell popping up again. He was in a very feisty mood at Silverstone. Well, he's top of this session here in the Ferrari. His teammate Max Verstappen is knocked out. One sole McLaren does make it in, as does one Mercedes car, two Lambos, two Astons, and one Aston Martin of Yuki Tsunoda, and myself and Jenson are both through. But Q3, not the best start for me. Massive tank slapper and moment out of turn 1. And in Sector 2, not much better. A lot of understeer, getting on the marbles. So this first flying lap is very much going to be a banker as we go again. There's always enough fuel to go for 2 runs on this game around the Red Bull Ring, and this one is much better. 5/10s up, and you can see the time is just gaining and gaining through all those corners. But even with 5/10s gained, I'm only P9. Only P9. Jenson's P8 as we go for a third lap now on a new set of tyres. Big mistake for us. We're in the wall. Thankfully, we stay in one piece, but it won't matter. The time is already gone. That's going to be the end of our lap, and we finish the lap without a front wing, and we're going to stay put in P9. And that last lap, to be honest, just summed up the entire qualifying. Very messy. You know, even Q1 and Q2, there are a few mistakes we were making here and there, but in Q3 where it really mattered too many mistakes. I mean, even with that second flying lap that we did get all together, we still have so much time on the table compared to Jensen, at least the 2/10, and then Jensen 3/10 off P1. So, you know, the Q1 was really the first sign of our team maybe being on the back foot around this circuit. Lamborghini returning to the top with Teo Porcher on pole position for the sprint race. I just mentioned Lamborghini needs something to turn their season around. It's been a very torrid time. This could be it. Teo Porcher on the front row in prime pole position. He's got a lot of quick cars behind him, but let's go to the sprint then in the sunshine. 12 laps ahead of us here on Saturday. Lights out, and we're underway. It's been a very poor quali for me and Jensen. Can we recover? It's a horrendous start for George Russell in this race. He's one of very few on the medium compound. Very odd choice for an AI to make, but he's had a horrible start with that. We've chosen the softs, even though we know there is plenty of tyre wear around the Red Bull Ring. We want to be punchy, wanting to recover from a lowly P9 as we try and follow Jensen past Oscar Piastri. A little bit awkward with the McLaren banging tyres, but we do make it through into P7. Meanwhile, Teo Porcher leads the way, and I actually think Gasly might be up there in P2. Very good day for Lamborghini. Button, a bit of contact with Carlos Sainz, and he makes a mistake there. He slows them both up, and we get the double pass on our teammate and Carlos Sainz as we get up into P5. So saying thank you very much to Button there, helping us out as we watch Tsunoda v Leclerc up the road fighting for P3 and 4. But it is a 1-2 for Lamborghini, so that must mean Gasly got the start of all starts, because he was down in what, P6 or 7, and it's a 1-2 for Lamborghini. Incredible, and Gasly might go for one better on lap 3 down the inside of Teo Porcher. Oh, the two bang tyres. Lamborghini, they haven't had any luck in the last 4 races, but they're leaving it all out on the circuit today, fighting each other. Maybe that's why it hasn't been such a great 4 races. They've been far too aggressive with each other and other cars around them, as Tsunoda has been pushed off by Leclerc, who's solidifying the P3 for Audi. Can we get on the back of Yuki Tsunoda, one of the people chasing us down in the championship? Behind, you can see Sainz has really held up Button as there's a huge 1 second gap, but it's not going to matter as the heads-up display comes up. Engine failure, is it? We're still... Oh, no! We were going for a moment. It's taken control, and... Oh, no! What? Button's crashed into us! Our teammate has just driven into the back of our retiring car that I couldn't control. I was not in control of my car. The game took over, because that's what happens. When you have a DNF, a mechanical failure, the game takes control of your car, you can't move it anymore, and my AI teammate has crashed into me whilst I've had no control of my car. Unbelievable. What a disaster for this team. There's the engine going, and I cannot believe that. I cannot believe that. In all my years of playing the F1 game, I actually have never actually seen that either. I have never had, let alone a teammate, an AI car drive into me as I'm retiring. Well, at least not in this manner. I mean, look how much space there is, and yet Button decided to take that inside line directly into my rear right, and he's sheared off his front tyre, and that's it. It's not only me out, Button, the championship leader, is out. It's an absolute disaster class for BMW AAR today. What? Liam Lawson's won the race in a Red Bull. He was 15th place on the grid. How's he done that? There were no pit stops in the rest of that race. Somehow the simulation has put Liam Lawson in P1. Mick Schumacher's got up to P6 in the Williams. Russell down to P7. The Lamborghinis. What happened to them? Well, hang on a minute. Teo Porcher was battling Gasly for P1 and P2. Porcher's finished 10th. Gasly's finished P14. So I'm going to guess that after that double DNF for us, the two Lamborghinis have had an absolute civil war of some kind. They've crashed together and took themselves out the running. And Liam Lawson has somehow come through all of that to win the sprint in a slow as hell Red Bull Ford. So at their home track Red Bull get a bit of lady luck. Unfortunately, the same can't be said for my teammate Jenson Button and myself. I mean, unlucky for me to have a mechanical failure that just pops up. You can't control when it happens, but at the same time, I also couldn't control my own AI teammate. I couldn't control my car. The game took control of it. I was just a passenger watching my own teammate crash into me. Oh, God. That's literally the worst. You know, like, it's bad for teammates to crash. There's another additive thing to it. For a video game, it's pretty bad when your AI teammate crashes into you when you don't even have control of your own car. That is incredible. That is embarrassing from the game and from us, to be honest, as well. Wow, we're both at the back of the grid then for the full Grand Prix. Absolutely brilliant. Big recovery needed. Let's go to the grid.
So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Liam Lawson lines up on pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Tsunoda, Sainz, Verstappen, Mick Schumacher, Bottas, Oscar Piastri, Théo Pourchaire, Ocon, Perez, Sargent, Gasly, Magnussen, Norris, Albon, Russell, Drugovich, Joe, and the owner-driver rounds off the grid. Button, Enzo Fittipaldi. And now it's time to head down to the track.
So a rather strange grid has been set with Liam Lawson leading the way in the Red Bull Ford at the Red Bull Ring. Myself and Jenson Button down in P20 and 21. And we've also already maybe got some sort of issue in the car, because take a look at the bottom right. My engine icon is fully red. So here's what's happened. My team did not indicate to me whatsoever or remind me to take a look at my components. So I've actually forgotten to change out the component that failed on my car in the sprint. So I've still got it on the car. Somehow the team have started up the engine and it's fine for now. But what's going to happen? Is this about to be an instant DNF off the 5 red lights? I have no idea. Let's find out as we go to 5 red lights to the Austrian Grand Prix proper. Overcast conditions, rain on the way, lights out, and away we go. But I have no idea for how long, because the engine's red. Look at that. ERS 99% worn. Surely that's going to fail, isn't it? As we make some overtakes up to P18. But look at the battery as well. Did you notice on the race start, my battery was only at 51%. If you compare that to previous episodes or previous race starts where the battery's 100%, that's the wear on the ERS, as we've made an overtake on Zhou Guanyu. We're going to try and have a go at George Russell here, but that may be a long-term issue now for the rest of this race, as we get very close to actually having a race-ending crash there with Russell, and we have to take avoiding action on Albon, because I'm basically, what was happening here is I was constantly looking at the right-hand side of my screen, just trying to suss out what on earth's going on, and I'm not looking ahead of me. I'm doing a stroll from China. I'm not looking ahead of me at where I'm going, so I almost had a collision there as we defend against Zhou Guanyu. But yeah, this battery problem, basically, because the ERS is 90, the energy store, sorry, I keep saying ERS, because the energy store component is 99% worn, I only have, as you can see, look, the deployment used came up so much earlier than it usually would do. I think I've only got a 51% battery capacity, because that's what it started as at the start of the race. So I'm trying my best to fight here, and we're going to maybe have a 3-wide moment with Albon and Kevin Magnussen trying to recover. And so far, to be fair, we're recovering better than my teammate Button. He's down in P21. Has he been so flummoxed by that crash in the sprint he's lost all his focus, perhaps? I don't know. As we look to make the move and finish off the pass on Albon, it was 3 abreast into that previous right-hander. We have to finish off the move on the McLaren on the next section as there's a spin for Drugovic, and already the full Grand Prix has been a bit chaotic, and that is going to bring out a virtual safety car so we can calm things down and, well, just ponder what on earth is going on. So not only have my team let me drive out with a 99% energy store, they've not bothered to be like, you know what, this might be a problem. And it's somehow working, but at 51% capacity. So that's going to hurt my recovery. That just means a lot less power around a circuit like Austria, which you need a lot of power for. So that is going to be a very interesting thing to see how it goes to the race. And to be honest, I don't even know if this is going to make it to the end. Like, is there going to be a point where it goes from 99 to 100% again and fails? I don't know. But whilst I was having that mass confusion at the start of the race with my ERS on lap 2, there was plenty of fighting going on in the top 5 between the two Audis and the Ferrari of Max Verstappen. And this is the battle for P1 on lap 2 between Liam Lawson, who is leading the way off pole position, but that is Yuki Tsunoda getting up into first place. So it's been a little bit of a wobbly couple of races for a lot of drivers, including Tsunoda, but maybe this might be his time to start cooking once again, because now he'll be in clean air, and it looks like the Audis are having a good scrap with all the cars around them, just like in Silverstone. So this may be a great opportunity for Tsunoda to pull away, as we see Gasly and Pourchaire side by side, and Gasly peels into the pits, I suspect with some damage. So once again, Lamborghini, for like a 4th race in a row, just cannot have a clean race. They are really missing us as a partner, it would seem, because they're just not the same. They started off strong, but it's just got worse and worse as they go on through this season in terms of operationally for them as a team in the races, whether it's the drivers being too aggressive or the engineers, not cautioning them enough or what, I don't know, as we see Button still struggling down in P19. So I really think that crash has maybe affected his focus level potentially as an AI driver, as we overtake Lando Norris and go for a big dive on Sargent, but we get it all crossed up with the rear end locking up in the Andretti Cadillac. To my surprise, actually gives me a bit of a fair fight, to be fair. Sargent actually going wheel to wheel with me momentarily as we finally re-overtake him to get up into P12. Only a matter of time, really. But now, as we set our sights on the points-paying positions for the first time in this race, we ask our engineer for the weather report, and he says rain is on the way. And I can already see that with rain droplets on the chassis, on the halo, as Schumacher is in. I don't know whether that's for damage or an early intermediate stop, because, yeah, rain is definitely on the way, so we are going to get a proper wet period in this race because it's so early into this one, only 5 laps. So unlike Silverstone, where it was teasing us the entire time at the end, this will get to inters, so we'll see. I think, to be fair, intermediate period might be good for us, because in inters on this game you don't actually need as much battery, and my lack of battery definitely is hurting me in some situations as we look to close up on Sergio Perez, the second Andretti of the day. Pourchaire just overtaken him. I'm trying my best to follow my old teammate through on the left-hand side, but it's proving difficult as already the droplets of rain are making things a little bit slippery. We're in the dirt era as well, remember, of 3 different cars, Perez, Pourchaire, and I think that's Valtteri Bottas in the silver arrow ahead, as we're having to weave around and we don't have the exact rear grip that we would like, but we're going to follow Pourchaire through. He makes the inside pass on Bottas. We make the inside pass on Sergio Perez. Immediately, we want to get on the back of this silver arrow as well to get up into P9 and kind of basically follow Pourchaire, because after him, there's a good amount of clean air, and that'll be really decent for us. But, I mean, I would say in dry conditions, but in the wet, it's going to be a different thing. We're going to have to see how it goes in terms of the wet weather, but I'm still constantly looking at the heads-up display. I'm bringing it up every single lap, pretty much, because I'm just in disbelief still. We're driving around with an energy store that's 99% worn, and it's not an instant DNF. This has got to be some sort of massive glitch in the game. It's got to be. But getting back to the weather and race at hand, you can clearly see by the track surface, it's a lot damper out there. We're losing the rear end. We're keeping up with Pourchaire, but it's definitely going to be time for intermediate soon as the rear end goes. And the rear end goes again, and we have to lock up and keep it up the wall. We've done very well. Oh, God, absolute heart-in-mouth moment. That could have been race over. We did so well just to drift the car across the grass, and we live to fight for another lap and for a couple of more laps in this race, I hope, as we dive into the pits then. Poor chair is it. That was unfortunate. That was literally the lap we're all coming in on intermediates, and we made that mistake, but it's so easy to do in these conditions. It's so tricky. You know, the rear end was already going a couple of times before on that same lap, so I'm just happy we kept it out of the wall, to be honest, because that could have been an easy DNF out this race. Surprisingly, in those conditions, Button's continued for another lap, and it's actually going to work out for him, because we go into turn 1, we're up to P9 then, still behind Pourchaire, but Button is now only 2 positions behind me. He was way down in like P19 or 18. He's jumped all these cars by going for 1 lap longer. I span it on that previous lap, and he actually was fine going on for another lap and actually made an overcut work. So just showing Button's talent in these very changeable conditions. And if you paid attention to the engineer's subtitles at the bottom there, you may see we might be changing back to dry tyres. Yep, the rain is going to end shortly, apparently, whatever that means. So we're going from dry to wet, back to dry here. Still doom and gloom out there, but yeah, to be fair, the rain's not getting any heavier at the moment. It's still Tsunoda leading the way. Pourchaire's in. We're in on lap 11. We saw Pourchaire going in. Obviously, not only does this cover him off in my pursuit of him, but also just trusting him in his judgment to come in for the hard compound. So that suggests he's looking to go to the end of this race, as am I now, as we go on to the hards. Again, Button continues on with quite a few other cars ahead of us. P1 down to P13 still out there on intermediates, but the rest of us behind have all gone onto the hard compound of tyre. But it still looks pretty wet out there, so it's going to be a bit of a shaky outlap, I should say. But again, surprise, surprise, Button again finds time and finds positions in the overcut going later. He's now jumped Lando Norris, he's jumped Albon, he's up to P10. We're both in the points now for the first time in this entire Grand Prix, as we see ahead of us Pourchaire. That was actually him trying to overtake Piastri and failing to, but it looks like he's going to be very close to doing so, I would say. Meanwhile, ahead of both of them, Ocon doing very well in the Silver Arrow in P6. Leclerc pursuing Max Verstappen. Lawson, to be fair, to say that he should have been up there in the sprint, he's hung on into a top 3 right now. It'll be a top 2 because Sainz is only in now. What a travesty of a decision by Audi to only come in now for the pit stop off the intermediate. So yeah, Tsunoda retakes the lead, but Lawson will be up in second place. He's still there in a top 2, which would be amazing for Red Bull Ford. Meanwhile, we focus back on Pourchaire, again looking to get past the Australian Oscar Piastri. Pourchaire on the inside. The McLaren, though, is doing really well to keep it through, but he finally has to give it up. Meanwhile, Sainz has come out, actually, to be honest, he's come out not too bad, ahead of his teammate, ahead of Verstappen. Verstappen having a go, so somehow Audi and Sainz have made it work. He went out for a whole 2 extra laps on intermediates and still only, well, he still came out in P3 momentarily. He's P4 now, so not too bad for him, not too bad for him. And meanwhile, for us, we have now caught up to Oscar Piastri. We've dropped Jenson Button by 4 seconds. So in these conditions, even though Button gained a lot of time in the pit stops, in this phase on the hard compound in the cooler conditions, we are finding more pace in the car than Button, which is good for me, because obviously the last race we absolutely could not match him whatsoever, and in doing so we've overtaken Piastri there to get up into P8. Meanwhile, we've got Max Verstappen overtaking Carlos Sainz for P3, Leclerc fighting Ocon for P5, so both Audis getting stuck in with their own battles. But Leclerc, he loses the position to the Mercedes car and immediately is pressurized by Théo Pourchaire. Leclerc's really not liking these hards right now, whether he's maybe just kind of got out of rhythm a little bit or tire, or I don't know, but he's falling away. He's now down to P7 all of a sudden in lap 18, and whilst he's going backwards, his teammate Sainz is looking forwards towards maybe P2. Verstappen overtakes Lawson for second place, but there goes Sainz through on the inside. He tries to make the double pass, the Spaniard does, and actually in doing so compromises his own line, and Lawson retakes third place. So Verstappen for Ferrari, that's a very solid P2. But look at Tsunoda dominating this race, 12 seconds ahead. It's safe to say the Yuki Tsunoda restaurant is very much back. He is cooking all of us at the moment, but we are in P8 now, closing up to Leclerc. We're starting to heat up a little bit in this race. As usual, we're loving the hard tyres, especially in the colder conditions. We're doing a lot better than Jensen is at the moment, who is in P10, still trying to make inroads on Piastri as we go for the move on Leclerc. Like we did earlier in the race, we kind of do a copycat move to the one Pourchaire's doing. He tried to go for the inside pass on Ocon. We did go for the inside pass on Leclerc. Pourchaire has to finish off the move at turn 1. But this is going very well for us. No! Pourchaire's locked up, yes! Pourchaire's locked up. It's another free position. We're up to P6. This recovery is just getting better and better. And remember, you got to remember this entire time, we still have an energy store of 99% wear. We are doing impossible things right now. It's taken us a while, though, to size up these moves because of that depleted batteries. Ocon goes wide. We have to back out of it as the back marker maybe just distracts him a little bit there, and we have to get out of the throttle to make sure we don't have a crash. But eventually, lap 20, 2 laps after we set our sights on Ocon, we can go round the outside for P5. But yeah, it's taking us a while to actually get some of these moves done, because you're seeing, like, you know, Sector 1, we're going down to single digits of ERS, which wouldn't be the case if we had a completely okay battery store that wasn't capped at 51%. So it's taking a while, but we're getting there. We're now in a top 5 position, and there's another twist in this tail as there's a red flag now out, and that is going to reset us all, and it's going to become a second sprint race here in Austria. And it's because of this in the middle of Sector 2. Oh! Big shunt for Albon on a spinning Alfa Romeo Haas. And like I said, we're going to reset on lap 23. So that's what, like, I think 13 laps, if that, left of the race. And so basically we've got a second sprint race here at Austria with pretty much most of us, I would suspect, going on to the soft compound of tyre. This may hopefully work out for us. I hope the soft tyre can hang on and we're not going to be regretting all not being off the hard tyres, which we were enjoying quite a lot. But it is what it is. Everyone's in the same boat. Let's hope the soft tyres work for us. And obviously one added benefit of the red flag here is we're all bunched up again, so we have an opportunity to straight away get into the top 4 maybe as we go to 5 red lights. And we're underway once again. Sainz is just not off the mark whatsoever. The Audi super slow. We're up to P4, but Leclerc has gone round our outside and has got an even better start than I did. I thought I had a good one. Leclerc's up to P4 now. We're back down to P5, but Sainz has had a shocking start. He's chosen mediums, as has Lawson, so whether that's the right call or not, we're going to have to see with the tyre wear. But it's Verstappen into the lead. Look at that. Tsunoda is going to be kicking in his cockpit. He's going to be screaming. He had a 12-second lead before the red flag, and now all of a sudden Max Verstappen leads the way for Ferrari. Could this be redemption for Verstappen? Remember, I think it was 2 seasons ago, Verstappen was on for a podium and in the last minute got taken away from him in a slower Ferrari. So now in a quicker Ferrari, could this be his time to win the race as we're 3 wide? Button I don't know how Button is not out of the race there. I backed out that 3 wide moment because I could see the writing on the wall of a monumental crash with Sainz and Button at turn 1. They both got the better of me because all these guys, they've got so much battery to use every single straight. I'm having to tactically, save it for a particular straight, and I'm choosing not to use it on the main one usually. And so Sainz and Button got a great run at me. Thankfully, we made it work, and much to Button's dismay, he's down and now 1.5 seconds away from us as we continue on and look to try and overtake Liam Lawson now, who's struggling on those mediums. And thankfully, we do get the Red Bull driver, get up into P5, and now see what we can do. But the 2 Audis ahead are quick. Verstappen and Tsunoda, they're quick. They're pushing each other like stabbed rats as we're now into the last 10 laps of this Grand Prix LS. Tsunoda going for the lead lead that should rightfully maybe be his as he opens up DRS. He gets the overtake done. But you know what? The Ferrari, I said it before, compared to previous seasons, this has probably been the best Ferrari we've seen technically now, as they finally got underneath this car, and Verstappen is looking quick, just as quick as Russell did last episode. The Ferrari very punchy, and Verstappen is going to be punchy as ever as a driver as well to retake P1. Tsunoda, he's on the mediums though, so maybe that's a reason why Verstappen's looking quicker. But have you noticed as well, it's very overcast again, and it looks like it might even start raining again. This might be a dry to wet to dry to wet race, because it's gone rapidly darker in the last couple of laps. And even though all of us are in a kind of holding pattern of this sprint to the end, there might be another twist with some more precipitation to come. Let's see. But as we go back to the front, the fighting continues between Verstappen and Tsunoda. Was that a droplet of rain though? I just saw on the camera angle perhaps. Tsunoda trying to retake the lead once more with DRS. That's still activated, so that's a sign of dry tyre running right now. But Verstappen does well on the racing line. He's actually maintained P1. This is not going to be so easy for Tsunoda. This is game on in these conditions with the soft compound for Verstappen. He genuinely looks like he might be able to win this race. And look now, back to our POV. Look at the halo. Look at the spots of rain. The rain is falling yet again. Behind us, Button and Pourchaire battling each other. They're having a bit of a squabble and they're holding each other up, because now they were right behind me, but now they're a second behind me. Pourchaire is stayed ahead of Jensen in P6. But look at the track surface now. Like earlier, it's looking pretty damp out there, but we're on lap 34 of 36. Oh, is there enough laps to warrant the intermediate? Tsunoda practically pushing Verstappen through that corner because Max is slow. He's trying to slow down the car because he's coming in. He thinks it's going to be wet enough. Ferrari have thrown the biggest gamble on the throw of the dice here. They've come in. This is a move I would make, but I actually reckon it's not going to be wet enough. It's not going to be worth it. So Verstappen's come in. He's done a late pit stop like a player would do, to gamble, to throw the dice and try and win it all. But the thing is, he was already leading the race. So what have you got to lose just staying with your competitor? As we stay out in P4, DRS is disabled as Pourchaire dives it down the inside. Our old teammate trying to overtake us. And usually, by the way, DRS being disabled, that is the indication it's time for intermediates. But in this situation, we've only got a lap and a half left. I just did not think it was worth it. And you guys know me, I always love to send it with the strategy. But today is not a time to be a hero. Today is time to keep it steady and try and just get to the end. Tsunoda thinks the same. He continues on. Sainz does. Leclerc doesn't. Leclerc's coming in. Audi think it's time for inters. And to be honest, it is technically actually time for intermediates. But there's only one lap left, guys. There's no point. You may as well try and stay. Oh, Button's in as well. Oh, that could be a calamity for his championship lead. Button may have just thrown away the championship lead here. Tsunoda continues P1. Sainz second. We're in third. Max Verstappen, to be fair to him, he's come up to P5. Is there going to be a final bit of drama yet? Verstappen is 5.6 seconds behind me. Sorry, now he's 5 seconds. No, 4.8. He is catching us rapidly. You know what? Maybe Verstappen could get us right at the end. He's not going to get P1. There's no way. So still, Ferrari and Verstappen, they've absolutely made the wrong choice. They were leading the race, battling Tsunoda, and now they're going for a glory run and a glory overtake, or sets of overtakes on the last lap. Verstappen up to P4, but Yuki Tsunoda is the man who has kept it the most calm, cool, collected. He was dominating earlier. To be honest, he deserved the race win, and he's going to get the race win. Sainz in second place, but look at this, into the final corner. Verstappen will catch us, but we'll keep it nice and calm. Just park it in the middle, try and get the power down, and we'll come through for a P3 recovery.
Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
Well, they certainly stood out as a drive with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
Well, Yuki Tsunoda's won the race, but you know what? The biggest winner, as you can see, is actually me. The recovery from towards the back of the grid to a podium. What a recovery that is, but in the context of Button pitting onto the last lap of the Grand Prix, we've gone from being quite a sizable gap behind him to now leading the whole championship. Incredible stuff. What a mad race. Dry to wet to dry to wet again. Unreal stuff. Guys, if you have enjoyed it, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.